A real-life scenario on a military training ground in Perm, in the Ural region. A sudden attack on a military checkpoint. On the defender's side, a surprising weapon is deployed. Four-legged soldiers in the service of the Russian Ministry of Internal Affairs. An animal assault unit, without fear. According to military law, dogs are classified as special operational equipment. But considering what they are capable of, they could just as well be called something else. Dogs that detect and mark mines could, for example, be called mine detectors. And animals that hunt criminals, machine guns. The canine unit of the Perm Military Academy has 95 such animals. But the most powerful weapons are hidden behind the bars of the kennels. 9 crossbreeds of German Shepherd and Wolf. Professor Kasimov has been engaged for 9 years in breeding so-called hybrids for military purposes. It all began with 2 wild wolves that accidentally ended up at the Perm Academy. They seem to have inspired the biologist. Wolf Nadja still fascinates him today. The way she snaps. But the breeding instincts of his wild creatures were limited. So I decided to pair them with German Shepherds. In the 1,970 seconds, a German scientist managed to breed 200 wolf dogs, but then could go no further. We succeeded on the very first attempt in producing a crossbreed that is not only fearless, but also capable of learning. The German Shepherd is considered the #1 utility animal in Russia's military. Its disadvantage is that it is often too loud. The hybrids, on the other hand, are always silent, reserved, and cautious, as learned in the wild, making them ideal for covert missions. That was the idea of the experiment-minded Russians. Above all, they have no fear of humans. This is Goy, an animal with outstanding abilities, perfectly suited to demonstrate the potential of crossbreeding. What happens when German Shepherds are crossed with Russian wolves is researched in Perm by biologist Tatyana Tikhonova. For years, she has studied the inheritance of physical traits in the breeding of so-called hybrids. The hybrid skull is noticeably large in relation to the rest of the body. The brain is also exceptionally large. From scientific literature, we know that the brain volume of a wolf dog can be up to 30% larger than in other dog breeds.
Achtung, Fass!
Although 50% wolf blood runs through Goy's veins, it still took several months before he was ready to attack on command.
Aus! Aufpassen!
Goy is not allowed to fully live out his wild genes. We reduced the killer instinct somewhat. Previously, he always attacked unprotected areas, like the groin or neck, and if stopped, he refused to cooperate. That is why the animals are taught to overcome certain instincts. And so, if necessary, Soldier Goy must even risk his life for Russia under fire. In return, one might expect at least proper feeding from his 2-legged comrades. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Honestly, they are very poorly fed here. According to regulations dating back to the time of the Great Socialist October Revolution, nothing has changed to this day. The animals receive only porridge, nothing else. The current hopeful assets of the Russian Interior Ministry on Professor Kasimov's private property are comparatively well cared for. They are privately fed, not without safety precautions, because his protégés have only one thing on their minds: to bite. Once they bit my finger clean through to the bone. Since then, I only feed them wearing gloves. The growing wolf dogs are affectionately referred to by the professor simply as bandits. They are 4 months old and already show no respect for their owner. Actually a good sign, because the professor's goal is not purely scientific research. He wants to turn the genes of the wild into money. In the residential areas of Perm's New Ridge, he suspects a solvent clientele that enjoys adorning itself with beasts. Hybrid Grey is also a trained sniffer in the service of the Russian Interior Ministry. He is now to be trained to detect the newest scarce commodity in the world: crude oil. I dip a piece of cloth into this substance. An experiment in front of the camera follows. Do you see how precisely he reacts? Kasimov already sees his creatures as a new wonder weapon in the fight against those dark figures who constantly tap into Russia's valuable oil pipelines illegally. For now, however, the animal's nose seems to be more attracted to the sausage hidden under the lid, along with the oil-soaked cloth. If potential offenders learn that pipelines are guarded by wolves, they will think twice. In conclusion, the animal handlers of the Russian Interior Ministry demonstrate once again that man's best friend is also his most willing weapon. He does not think, does not argue, knows no fear, and obeys every command. This is how the German Shepherd dog is meant to make Russia's proud army invincible in the long run.